Take that, Gurk. You like that?
What's
Boom on the one, sir.
on?
Hello, everybody. We are live, and then Troy's coming back now. Troy had to go see a man about a dog. Hello, Troy. We are live.
Oh, we actually went live on time?
Yes.
I was just in the back doing some stuff.
That's
How's
cool.
it going?
That's
What's
cool.
up, everybody?
Just for you, buddy. You're welcome.
We,
I was just telling
sounds
I was
so
telling
bad.
Zach.
Even we assume we had 2 or 3 minutes
Yeah.
before we
Y'all are cute.
Why?
Y'all are really
I can't
funny.
see anything.
Like I've had a phenomenal track record, might I add, of like impeccable for like months now, but 1 or 2 times that I did the 1 minute countdown 50 times in a row. I have a reputation now.
Third time's a charm, or something. I don't know. I don't see anything.
You refresh your screen.
I did.
It's looking good for me.
Do it again.
Looking good for me. Gurk, I want to know every
okay, there we go. Cool.
detail of Deadlands.
Yes, me too.
Yeah.
I think you're gonna, as our social media manager, I'd like for you to compose a bi-monthly, like Deadlands report that we can put up on our website, please.
On our website.
That'd be great. We don't have a
I was
website.
gonna say, where's that website again?
With our Twitter.
I was gonna say, that's what happened to Twitter. They ran off together.
Yeah.
They eloped.
But
awesome.
if we did have a website, you would be in charge of
The
our
Deadlines
blog
blog.
at this point. The Deadlines blog, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I could add another channel on the. Yeah, you do. You have to set that up too. I could add a Deadlands channel on the Discord.
Oh, I mean, I personally want to hear about it. I don't know if it's a thing that, like, maybe it is something that 80 people want to chat about regularly. But I'm also happy for him to post it in our general chat. However, whatever, whenever.
Or we could just bring him on and say, hey, do a Deadlands update.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really, I just want to like live my Deadlands fantasy through Gurk at this point, right? That's
That's a kind of a creepy way to put it.
yeah. Fair enough.
Well, thank you.
Kilowatt, yeah, like your beer style.
It's actually not a stein. It's a cookie jar. It's
I was gonna say.
my Christmas
Heck yeah.
cookie jar. Let me see if I can get this thing without breaking it. Oh, okay, we're good.
Well, are there cookies in it?
There are cookies in it. They're not for you. They're for me. So, if you want to ever know what's inside of a dwarf's skull, it's cookies. That's
I could
pretty
have
much,
told you that.
that's pretty much all there's really room for, though. Honestly, beer cookies, if that's a thing.
Cookies and beer. Cookies and beer.
I don't even know where my wife got that, but you can thank her for that one.
Is
That's
it
pretty
Christmas decorations up? Is that the?
They're happening in my house. It hasn't like not full blown, but my wife since COVID, not COVID, honestly, it's before that, but really that was like the new tradition is we're like so bummed from being kind of like stuffed in the house for months on end that we just decided we were going to extend Halloween out. So we started doing like Halloween decorations and watching Halloween movies and stuff like that in September, like on September 1st, 2 months of Halloween. And then Christmas was really like overlap. Christmas was November 1st to the 26th. And we would like squeeze Thanksgiving in there. It was just kind of like a thing that happened along the way, really. So it's everywhere in my house right now. Everywhere. It looks like the North Pole threw up downstairs. And this is like the one thing of Christmas that I've got that I'm willing to put up here. That's it. That's where it will stay for who knows how long.
That's it.
Interesting. Yeah. Nothing has raided my office yet, but we'll see.
I have 4 Christmas trees in my house, if that tells you anything. I had 1 last year. I've got 3 now. Or I got 4 now. If that tells you anything at all. 5. I'm sorry, 5, because my middle daughter decided to buy a tree for herself also. So now,
Kilowatt says that Thanksgiving is pre-Christmas.
isn't it though? Really?
I think
it's
so.
It's like the
Yeah,
wind
it's like-
up.
Yeah.
Right?
It's like yeah, preseason Christmas, right?
Preseason
Mhm.
Christmas. They're lining all the players up for Christmas.
It's like let's like give all the rookies a shot, um, run them all out on the field.
Heck yeah. Girk says
Harrison's
Ferristein's
birthday is
birthday is on Thanksgiving this year. That's gonna be fun. So,
mhm.
like a turkey shaped birthday cake, or that's I'm curious. How are you gonna separate the Thanksgiving from the birthday
Or a
there?
birthday shaped cookie, turkey. So
Or
Birthday shaped.
just a candle shoved up.
That's right.
Never mind.
The candle's the shape of like a turkey
yeah.
baster or something like
So,
that.
Girk, how was that growing up? Did you get like double the gifts, or was it like, well,
That's
gee,
never how that
That's
works.
we're gonna
that
save
can't be how
money
that
and just
works.
do.
It's like you get the one set aside. Like your mom buys you, probably bought you the same amount, but then just wrapped one in
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 birthday paper.
no, that she
Look,
just
Zach's
wrapped
correct.
it.
Oh, that's so sad.
Yes, she just takes the Christmas paper, flips it upside down, and wraps it.
That
My wife's birthday is on the 29th of December, so
Mm.
she has a similar story of growing up.
Oh,
Hmm,
that's
that's
nice.
cool.
Good for them.
that's
That's
great.
that's grandparent love right there, man.
Yeah.
Well, fellas, I think we've given enough time to settle in and get chat all cozy. We have a ton of Kickstarters. Um,
Gosh done.
so many that Troy has implemented rapid fire honorable mentions to
Mm.
be tacked onto the bottom, in which John said, nay, nay, all five of mine belong in the
I'll move
full
them.
The full
I'll
discussion.
move
Monty.
them.
He
I'm
No,
wants
moving
to
no,
them
give
now.
the
no.
full Monty of the.
I'm moving
No,
them.
it's great. It's great. I enjoyed it. I was like, this is as it should be. We create a section. Troy and I are like, yep, we'll move one of our three down there. And John's like, no, all five,
I'll move
front
one
and
of them down.
center.
It's happening right now. I'm
All
doing
of
it.
mine are.
Yeah.
I don't know which one it's going to be though. It's going to be this one.
Oh, for shit's
Oh,
sake.
we're moving the one right out the tank. All
Right off
right,
the
cool.
top.
Now
Okay.
Troy gets to
Cool.
start.
Cool.
No, I get. Okay, fine.
So yeah, so what we're gonna do is we kind of have narrowed it down for this Kickstarter roundup to our top favorite ones that we'd like to talk about, and then we have stuck a bunch that we're like, oh, these are cool, and you should definitely check them out, but we don't have a lot to say about them, or there's not a lot to say about them, or somebody else has already said everything you could possibly want to
Oh, so
about this, and
that's why I got screwed up. Zach took one of his three
yes, and put it
and
down.
put it down there, whereas when I got to the page to start putting my stuff in, John had already beat me to it and put five. It's like, oh,
Yes.
so yeah.
You
So
still have
Now,
more than I do up in the top. What are you talking about?
oh, Bear Droid is asking about the 2D20 system discussion. Do you guys mind me
Yes,
telling you a
please.
little
Yes,
bit about
please,
that?
because I have things to say about 2D20.
Okay, well, hang on. Like
Be kind.
we've had discussions about 2D20 on
Yes,
this stream before,
That's true.
right?
yes.
I think I am a convert after Thursday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Tell me more.
So we played Dune again, and uh, a couple of my players decided that they wanted to go explore the desert. They were looking for Fremen. And instead of getting in an ornithopter, which is what I thought they would do, they had an ornithopter they could have, um, they decided that they were going to go out on foot and just kind of like peruse the area. They were out at this research station that's theirs, kind of renovating it. And they're like, oh, we're going to go out on foot. And I'm like, okay. Well, then I need some checks because you're walking on the sand and you're not Fremen. Um, of course, I got really excited about that. I think they were really hoping to slide one by me there. Um, but we got to pull out in the 2D20 system. There's this thing called extended tests, which are kind of like skill challenges in D&D. Um, very, very, very similar. Um, so we did an extended test where they used their learned knowledge of the Fremen sand walk for the first time, right? They
Mm.
put theory into practice, right? And in an extended challenge, it took about, I'm going to say, 10 minutes for us to, maybe a little less because there was a lot of working components to this extended challenge. We all had our rule books out, right? This was not a fast thing because we were learning multiple things. We hadn't played Dune in a month and a half, so we were kind of relearning the system, right? There's so many things working against this being cool, is what I'm trying to tell you, right? Anytime you all have to have your books out to
Yeah.
different pages, referencing different noodly notes, you're on dangerous territory, right? But here's what happened. Uh, they had to use they have momentum points, right? Which momentums are like inspiration from D&D, only you can pool them up and you share them as a group. That's the easy way to say it. They had super inspiration points, which are called determination, which everybody gets individually. And then they have all sorts of talents and assets and traits and things that you are probably familiar with, at least in theory, if you play D&D. It was like those coolest moments in dungeon delving in D&D where you don't have an answer for how the players are supposed to get out of a situation, and they figure out this crazy cool way to survive based off of like somebody's manacles in their backpack, somebody's like, you know, pet raccoon, and an earthen jar they found 3 levels back, right? Like that's what happened in this thing where in order to succeed on this extended test, they were like using talents and assets and traits and momentum and determination to like get where they needed to be successful. And at the end of that 10 minutes, they successfully navigated out into the desert, took a look around, didn't see anything, walked back. Nothing happened. Nothing happened. And it was one of the most like intense feelings I've ever had at the table. It felt like walking into a bear cave. You never see a bear, but you know it's in there. And you walk out and you're like, I just, got away with something. That's how this felt. I was like, this is amazing. Like I was so pumped at the end of that freaking extended test. Um,
It was the most exciting 10 minutes of nothing happening ever.
exactly. I was like, exactly. That's exactly what it was. Uh,
Okay.
it
Okay.
was awesome. Like I'm like, there's no way that a skill test in D&D could have been that way because at the end of the day, in a skill challenge, all you do is you chuck dice and look at skill,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
This was like, oh, I've got this talent that says that this, and I'll spend 2 momentum to make a trait that does this, and then, oh, you got your determination, you can do that, but you can only do that if it applies to your drive. Oh, well, my drive is this, and so it works, and like, there's all these like pieces that are just like locked into place, and it was so cool. I don't know, I got really pumped
But
about
in
it.
the end, the players weren't frustrated that nothing happened after all of that, after
No,
Well,
investing all
they
that
were
time and
no.
effort into
relieved.
it.
It's like, oh,
Now
we don't
that's
have any momentum left. We used it all. I'm
They burned
picturing.
through 6 momentum and 2 determination points, which is a ridiculous amount to not fail that test.
I am picturing this as the most intense round of the Ministry of Silly Walks ever. Because
Yeah,
that's what they're doing.
yeah. It
Oh
was it was
man, that's
so good.
awesome.
I'm telling you, I was at the point last week where I was like, if I don't get something cool out of this 2D20 system this week, I might start cutting bits of it because it's just like I don't want to force it. I don't want to force mechanics in the way of the story that we're trying to tell.
Right.
And then we hit that at like the last 20 minutes of the game, and it was like, oh my gosh, yes, this is why this system is works.
But was it
When it works, this is
situational, or was it just? Is it like?
I feel
Do
like it
you
would be
do you
very
have a
situational.
better idea of like how you can use it elsewhere in the
I
game
think
now.
so. I think so. I also kind of preempted that on that same day. I got to sit down, hanging, and I got to hang out with one of the project managers at Modifius, and he didn't run Dune, but he runs the Akchong Cthulhu line, right? Which is their like World War One meets Call of Cthulhu, and it uses the 2D World War Two, and it meeting Call of Cthulhu or Cthulhu, and they now have it in their 2D20 system. And so we were talking about the 2D20 and what it's good at and what it's not. And it was fascinating because by and large, I think he agreed with me, and to some extent, our our crew that really believes that larger scale like combats are can be rough in the 2D20 system, but it does a lot of other things really, really well. And I think I kind of embraced that and said, okay, let's just give it a go and see how it works with just kind of finding the spots where it's meaningful and not worrying about it when it's not. And man, it was great.
That's
Mitch is
cool.
here. Welcome,
Yeah, what's
Mitch.
up? That's
Hello,
that's pretty cool.
Mitch.
See, okay, so and I wasn't really going to bash the 2D20 system because I think it does like the the intrigue of the back and forth negotiation and stuff. I think it does that kind of cool. I think it could do exploration, probably pretty cool. But yeah, it was just the combat. I feel like it's a bit of a unless if you changed combat from an individual taking turns and doing all of that stuff. If you did what your group did for the silly walks contest,
Hmm.
and because it's like, hey, it's us five against those 10, and if they're doing all of these maneuverings
Yeah.
and pools and this and that, it's like, okay, now make the check. Okay, it takes out two of their guys. Okay, cool. And kind of do it something like that. But the if I just want to shoot a dude,
It's difficult.
it's
And
way more difficult than what it needs to be.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
even like
Uh,
I understand what they were trying to do with duels, right? Like
yeah.
using that system.
Yeah,
I see what they were trying to do with it to make it more interesting and like that one-on-one engagement and not just
I
let it
think
be
the
like
duels is cool.
right. Like and it makes sense the whole like maneuvering one thing from one hand to the next and then kind of like how that's pushing that out towards like I get what they're doing with that, but it doesn't work across the board is kind of
Mm,
what gets me like
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Anyhow, I'm back in the camp of being excited about it.
Hmm.
And that being said, I haven't ran a combat since like 2 or 3 sessions ago. So if I have to run another one, I may change my mind about that again. But luckily, we're playing a campaign where combats are going to be few and far between. So
Right. I would be curious if you would be interested in doing a Conan one
Mm.
shot, or is it also John Carter?
there is also John Carter.
Uh,
Yeah, there's a lot of like pulpy stuff that they
where
do.
it's
Yeah.
it's more combat oriented, because I mean you can't have Conan really if you don't have combat. So because I would like to see what a a game setting using the 2D20 rule set, how it would handle a more combat heavy uh,
Yeah, I don't know
stuff.
enough about one of really any of the systems other than Dune or settings other than Dune that they offer. But I would love to play in like a Fallout or even a John Carter or Conan or the Cthulhu one. Like there's a lot of cool settings. I just don't know enough about. I'm not a John Carter guy. I'm not a
Mm.
Conan guy. So
Well,
I
I don't
feel
even.
like
I mean, I'm not saying run a campaign. I'm saying like more like just run a loose one shot
yeah,
where you could
Hmm.
experience how they do. Because I mean, I
yeah,
can't imagine in a Conan game it's like, okay, I'm going to move my battle axe from my body to my hand and attack their shield
no,
with my this to do
yeah.
that. You
Yeah.
know.
Ooh. All
We
right.
just got an
Mitch.
offer.
Mitch might be volunteering himself for a Conan session at some point.
Uh oh.
Because I'd be down. Um. Cool. No. I'm glad you brought it up, Bear Droid, because yeah, I did get really excited about it. And I want to when I learn something about a system that like connects, I want to share it with folks because um, it is hard. I think, especially for me, there's sometimes that breaking the barrier of a system to like figure out where the meat
Hmm.
or the juice is the
Mhm.
hardest part. And like, what is the system trying to do? Because I just want to get on the same wavelength as the system and not try to fit my idea of how a combat should work or
Hmm.
or whatever should work
Well, because a lot
into the system.
in Dune,
Yeah.
the 2D20, it seems like it's trying very hard to lend itself to the Dune vibe. So and like I say, in some ways, man, it knocks it out of the
It
park.
nails it. I
It
mean,
really
it
does, and
nails
it's
it.
actually really interesting. Even in the little bit that the three of us kind of went over it and played it together, I think that there's a lot there to be learned from it too,
Mhm.
right? In the way that we
Yeah.
run other games, and just the way that it noodles on the board, right? But
Yeah.
just some of it is it's there's a lot conceptually. It is very different
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
other
Well,
games.
yeah, and I mean, we're coming at it from a hardcore D&D
Mm,
Yeah.
base, and like we all three of us have said, everybody has said, it's a game about combat with a bunch of other stuff stuck onto it.
mm-hmm,
Dune is not a setting about combat. It is a setting about political intrigue
mm-hmm.
and negotiating and things like that with some combat parts stuck to it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Exactly.
yeah, which it handles that other stuff really great. It's just that small skirmish rules, or what we're thinking of as a D&D combat, just is not going to happen in Dune.
There's a great behind the scenes. I think it's of episode 2, Star Wars episode 2. There's a great behind the scenes video thing, right? And it talks about George Lucas writing scripts, and he's like, he comes out, he's like, I finished the script for Attack of the Clones. They're like, oh, congratulate, whatever. And he's like, yeah, there's a lot of they fight in it. and and I'm like, that's if you read the Dune books, that is exactly how they read too, right? It's like build it, build it, build it, build it, build it. They fight. Okay, now let's talk about what happens
They
afterwards.
fight and somebody won.
Yeah,
Mm.
like the climactic fight at the end of the Dune book is literally like I'm probably exaggerating slightly, but it's like a page and a half.
Mm.
Like build up, build up, build up, build up, like 250 pages, page and a half,
So
then fall off.
if he wrote this as a DM, it's like one of the things that I do, and whenever I'm running a game, I'm like the parts that I know that people are really not interested in, or that I need to kind of like, let's get past this part. I
Yeah.
call it hand waving. Let's just hand wave this
Yeah.
part so we can get to the
Yeah,
good
yeah.
stuff. And he's like, he hand waves over all the combat. He goes, no. Then let me tell you why you're here. You're not here for this combat-y stuff and attacking and whatnot. You're here for all of that. That's the juicy bits are
Yeah.
all of like this internal monologue and
awesome.
dialogue and
There's
politics.
probably something up to like the idea that he would probably present it as, well, by the time we hit that combat at the end, you along with Paul know what the outcome of that
Mm-hmm.
combat is going to be. So because you are, uh, because you can see the future, because you're with Paul and seeing the future, do we really need to show you the combat?
But here's the thing, though. Let me ask you this: as a reader, because I have not read Dune, as a reader, does that seem like a letdown? Like,
It is a
like
little bit.
when you're when it's like, okay, the bad guy that you hate so much, they're gonna get their comeuppance, and I want to draw it out. To me, it's like Joffrey in
Oh,
spoiler
Yeah.
alert, like Joffrey in spoiler alert in Game of Thrones. It's like that wasn't good enough. That was like it wasn't drawn out enough, exquisitely enough for what he deserved. Like the cruelty of Joffrey, and yeah, I know he was just a boy, but he was like, but the cruelty is like I wanted. There was like he deserved more of a comeuppance, right? To me, like if I get to the end of a book and I'm like, oh boy, those Harkonnens, they're gonna
Okay.
get it, and then
but you
like,
know what?
mhm.
Now that you said that about the whole Joffrey thing, I agree. It wasn't, there wasn't enough suffering to it, but that also makes it part of it, because if Joffrey has the amount of suffering that we wish he would have had, it would have given us that, all right, now I'm satisfied. But that continues the FU
So what
of
you're
Joffrey, because he's this insufferable shit this entire time,
Mhm.
and even when he gets whacked, he's still an insufferable shit because he did not give you that satisfying death that you're like, yeah, he got what he deserved. And it's just kind of like, oh, I still hate him.
Well, then that's not Joffrey though. That's Martin doing that. It's
Right,
like,
and I thought, but I think that's kind of cool in a way, because you never get let off that hook. You never get that. Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Sweet revenge. It's still.
I don't know, man. No, I get it. I get that. Like, then what I would do is just drag out how much of an insufferable ass he is further into the books and just let him get away with more murder, so that whenever the time comes, it's like, sweet relief. So good. So good.
There was enough. There was enough of that kid.
Oh my god.
All right. Well, have we talked enough about?
I think so.
I feel like so.
We're
Yeah.
40 minutes into this thing, and we still haven't even talked about
Yeah. I mean,
Kickstarter.
listen. I would love to talk to you all about Morkborg too, but we're gonna save that. Yeah.
Mick.
Morkborg. Let's talk Kickstarters for a little bit here. Troy, are we recording?
We are.
All right, here we go. In 3, 2, 1. Hello and welcome to the Bite Size Gaming Podcast, the podcast that's serving up a buffet of RPG topics to get you through your week. My name is Zach, and the hosts joining me this evening are the Dwarven DM, John Christian,
Holly Ho.
and the Dapper DM, Troy Christian as well. Troy Sandlin.
Is this? Are we going
Hey,
public?
what's up?
Is this? Are we going? This is like, we're letting everybody know about it now. It's like we're taking
what?
our relationship to the next level, Troy.
We are?
He referred to you as Troy Christian.
He did.
The gag was, it's fine. It's okay. We do
get
it on
it.
playback. You can like just
I'm
when
trying
you're
I was
editing.
trying
When you're
you'll
editing,
get it when you're
yeah.
editing. It's fine. It's fine.
No,
it's
I
fine.
got it the first time. I was
Okay,
trying to
cool.
be like, wait, what? No.
Oh, okay.
I was trying to still be coy about it. You
Oh, okay.
Fair enough.
Joffrey.
Do we need to go back and restart the record? No, it's
No.
fine. Go ahead, Zach.
No,
It's fine.
this,
Why this time?
yeah.
Why would we try to fix this?
I don't know. It's fine.
It's
a mess.
It fits.
Well, hey, we're going to start our crowdfunding corner for this week. And Troy has implemented a new procedure, which is rapid fire honorable mentions. So, you know what? I'm going to do a shocker. We're going to do our rapid fire honorable mentions at the beginning.
Oh my.
That's right. They're at the bottom of our Google Doc, but we're going to do them at the beginning.
Oh, man.
So
Doing all
these
kinds of crazy
are
stuff.
these are the crowdfunders that we think are cool, that we think are important, but that we're not going to have time to talk about, or we think that other people have covered them well enough already, or we just don't have that much to say about them. So these aren't going to be going into depth, but go check them out. First and foremost, for rapid fire honorable mentions, remember that Italian spaghetti fantasy setting called Brancalonia that I touted months back? Showed off the amazing book that came in. It's awesome. It won a gold Ennie and it
All
won like
kinds of
4
stuff.
silver Ennies. It's crazy good. They are in the last throes of their next Kickstarter called Brancalonia, the Empire Waxback.
Right on.
Yes.
Yep. Yes, and it is a adventure, a campaign for their Brancalonia setting, spaghetti fantasy, kind of like a Italian fantasy without any sort of like respect or like, it's kind of devil may care fun, right?
Yeah.
So, really cool. You should definitely check it out. Artwork is second to none.
Oh yeah, the Break Colonia stuff looks really cool. Yeah. Yep. And it's already way funded, so
Oh yeah.
cool.
All right, Troy, rattle us off.
All right, yeah, because I put several in this area myself. The first one in my list is Plane Breaker, exploring the planes for 5e, Monty Cook games. You really don't need to say more after that. This is a the concept is this kind of moon is crashing through the plains, and it trails with it um, connection points, and kind of sucks up pieces and parts of some of the different planes it has already blasted through.
Mm.
So this is kind of it's not planescape, but it's a way to kind of do planescape-ish type stuff. Got new races, new backgrounds, all new stuff from Monty Cook Games. Artwork, all as always, phenomenal. Really cool idea, an interesting concept. 11 days to go as of this recording. $292,000 of their $50,000 goal. Monty Cook Games, Plane Breaker, awesome stuff. Next on my list is Fool's Gold, Into the Bellowing Wilds. This is a 5th edition campaign setting based on the hit YouTube series by Dingo Doodles and Felix. I don't even
Irnich?
Irnich.
Irnich? Yeah.
This is doing moderately well. There's 10 days left. They asked for $10,000. They're setting at 1.2 million. So they're doing all right.
Moderately well.
doing
Thank
fine.
you.
Moderately okay. This one is kind of near and dear to my heart just a little bit because it's got STL files
Yeah, it
to
does.
print, and some pretty cool ones. Can I just say, a big ass Tarrasque?
I love that it labels it. It's bigger than a small dog.
It is. It's like 12 inches tall.
That's awesome.
This 30 plus spells, 30 plus items, over 35 new monsters, new races, backgrounds, subclasses, an alchemy system, an adventure module, expansive world lore that comes from the YouTube show, and new wilder magic charts and a whole bunch of other stuff. This is coming out of Hit Point Press, and like I said, they're sitting at 1.2 million, so they're not hurting. But something interesting to go check out. Are you guys sharing links?
I am.
All right, cool. Next on my list is the Pot-Bellied Kobold's Guide to Villains and Lairs for 5e, coming from Jeff Stevens Games. I talked about the Pot-Bellied Kobold several months ago. Their first offering, which was pretty cool, and this is Villains and Lairs.
Yeah, they Jeff Stevens is a really nice guy. He gave me one of my first jobs in the industry as a writing gig, and I got to meet him for the first time at GameholeCon just a few weeks ago, and he is awesome. So you should definitely back this.
Yeah. New magic items, custom stat blocks, 10 layer maps, and this is the part I like. Tips for creating villains to make them a little, give them a little bit more oomph, and tips for creating layers as well for those villains. And I'm not going to talk about the cool artwork and stuff like that, but what I am going to talk about real quick is the contributors. Talk about a stacked pedigree for this thing right out of the gate. First name you see, besides Jeff at the top, Ed Greenwood, Mr. Forgotten Realms himself. Jenny D, I'm not really sure how you pronounce her last name. She's the cosplayer that you see all around that does all kinds of cool stuff and writes on all kinds of... She always wears like really large elf ears. Anthony Joyce, H. Carlin, Justice Arman, Cat Stevens, John Four, who gives great DMing advice and gaming advice. I've been subscribed to his newsletter for quite a while. Richard Green, Christian Zoich, and an ALDM that has been with us for quite some time, Ginny Loveday.
No, look at that.
Yeah, look at that. Alan Patrick, Steve Pankotai, and Jeff Stevens. And then there's Tony Petreka, Maxine Henry, R.P. Davis, Alan Tucker, and a whole bunch more. So there's all kinds of cool stuff. They've got a free example that you can download and check out. So that is the Pot-Bellied Kobold Guide to Villains and Lairs. I got two more, and then it's John. We got the Shotguns and Sorcery, a 5e source book. This one's coming from Matt Forbeck,
Mm-hmm.
and this is they are 5eing shotguns and sorcery. This has been in, and I just lost the original system. Anyway, it's kind of a neat idea. You would think at first it's Western, but it's not. It's a little bit advanced past the
Cypher.
Westerns. Yeah, Cipher system. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
The idea is something happened in this world. The dead rose and came sweeping across the continents, taking everybody out. Those that were remaining ran to this mountain where this dragon lived. The dragon, they beseeched the dragon, please help us. Okay. They created a city. It's called Dragon City. They've got all these different levels inside the mountain where all these people live now. And so it's like a very clogged and crowded Victorian era London, I would say. So there's people running around with pistols and shotguns and magic wands and all that stuff working together. Matt Forbeck is a prolific writer. I think like 36 novels. He's actually working on the Marvel multiverse role-playing game right now. He's also working on the Warhammer 40k Tacticus games.
Mm-hmm.
He's written all kinds of stuff. Been involved with D&D 5e and past iterations of D&D before that. Fantastic author, awesome game designer, and I mean the artwork's really cool. I like the idea. It's going to get some of my money, I'm sure. And then here's the one I wasn't sure if I really wanted to talk about this, but I'm gonna, because I know it's probably something that everybody out there has been waiting for. I'm guessing Girk wants this. Rock Paper Scissors, the deluxe edition.
Yes.
Just look at the link. It's Rock Paper Scissors.
The deluxe edition.
The deluxe edition. You get a rock, you get some scissors, and you get a piece of paper. And
in a nice box.
In a nice box, you get rules on how to play it, and you also get a solo mode, so that you can play rock paper scissors by yourself. And
I love how the paper is referred to as metallic gold performance paper.
Performance paper.
It's high performance paper.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I would love for you guys to watch the video as they explain on how to use it, and try to see where it makes sense to you.
You can. There's also a link if you're curious. You can click the link to try out a digital version of the game on Tabletopia.
Oh
wow!
Maybe that will help.
Can we just be very clear for people? This may come off as a joke, and it kind of is, but it's probably going to fund. And it is a box with a set of embroidery scissors, a piece of gold paper, and a geode in it.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, Kirk says, "Take my money." It's really incredible, the amount of this art is by the person. The box art is by the person who drew the wingspan art, which is like an award-winning presentation.
Yes.
Like this is a no joke designed, presented Chip Theory Games.
Chip Theory Games, yes, exactly.
Lore by Chip Theory Games, which is hilarious. It's like someone said, we don't need. Let's move on. Let's move on. That's
just
enough.
check it out. It's, if nothing else, it'll give you a WTF.
A conversation piece. Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go, John.
Yeah,
finish us out with a rapid fire.
All right, so I got one. We're going to talk about Snack Time. This is from a Japanese publisher.
I like how John led off with I've got one.
I got one that's actual rapid fire. Wink. Okay, here we go. Yeah, so let me tell you about rapid fire really fast. Troy. Each player is given a score sheet. They map sewers. They guide their creatures to food. The food is pedestrians that are walking through the sewer. There are 5 different entrances, and this is what is called a roll and write and play kind of adventure, where you've got like a little pad of paper with the sewer laid out inside of it. You roll some dice, and what I found fascinating about, or the idea about this is interesting to me, is that the players are infinite. You can have an infinite number of players, is what they say. As many players as you want. 1, 2, 100, who knows. But it's supposed to take 30 minutes. I've gone through the instructions on this thing, so this is why I'm not like going to do a deep dive on this one. I find the idea of an infinite number of players. I'd like to see this thing in action to see whether or not that's even feasible or not. I mean, it's cute. It's like I say cute. You're eating people. Some of the people that are in the sewers are important, and you can provoke the authorities into coming down to the sewers to eat your monster or to shoot your monster and kill them. So, kind of a kitschy, cute little game, monster kind of game. It's pretty neat. Check it out.
Right on.
That's it.
Hey, look at that.
Rapid
Look,
fire
that,
round.
believe it or not, that was 7 Kickstarters. And now we're going to talk about the projects that made the cut.
Yeah.
Let's continue this freight train back up to the top. Troy, talk to us about Eldendale.
Eldendale Christmas, by Brittany. She's created 5 different things. She's a map maker, amateur artist, entrepreneur. She's getting into game design. This has, and I mean, Christmas season's coming up. Obviously we've seen the Christmas decorations in the stores since last month. It's just a cool little Christmas, grouping of adventures. I think it's always nice to have some of these in your back pocket. Different level ranges. The artwork I kind of dig. It has that I don't know, Norman Rockwellish, kind of like from up above looking down on the little, the pastoral little town for the first images that you see, and the rest of the artwork's pretty cute. But I mean, you really can't knock one of these things. I mean, there's some a New Year's one-shot stretch goal, working on making it into a first through third level adventure. All kinds of cool. I mean, it's just a cool little thing. There's 2 one-shots, 1 first to 5th level adventure, NPCs, like the Ellendale Baker, Dunlock's Mayor, Griffin Hook's Royalty. There's a few surprise guests, like a certain, in this iteration, wizard that likes to deliver toys. You can even help some of the elves make the toys and get them delivered and things like that. There's a couple one-shots, first through third level adventure, a digital cocktail booklet for those of you that like a little alcoholic Christmas cheer. So yeah, give it a look. If nothing else, give it a look. Check it out. It's not a huge buy-in. A whole $8.
So
I mean,
did I miss it? Is it 5e? It is 5e.
Yeah.
Okay, there it is.
Yeah,
5e
5e.
compatible. They're at the top. Gotcha.
5e
Okay,
compatible.
cool.
If you have it.
All right, just want to make sure that was one of the things we focused on.
Get you some Christmas adventures for $8.
Mm-hmm.
And have fun. Go to town. Yeah, tell me what you think. I'm gonna snag onto it and see what kind of a Christmas frivolity is in the pages.
All right. Let me take you to a Kickstarter called Amazing Encounters and Places. This is another 5e product, but I think it has a lot of things to offer basically any fantasy RPG. This is by Christian Zoich, who, Troy, you mentioned in the Pot-Bellied Kobold thing. Christian is somebody who I have worked with before on Den of Assassins. He did all the maps for that product. And actually, I don't know that very many people know this, but there is going to be a Den of Assassins crossover in this book. We kind of worked out a couple things, and so he's going to have an assassin show up in his book. Actually, I think somewhat prominently in one of his sections. Anyhow, this is 56 encounters in 8 drop-in locations, overarching plots tying them together, all supported by 64 maps.
Holy moly.
Christian is a map maker, and he took all the maps that he'd been putting together, wove a story that connects them, made some encounters. I think this is a great product. Um, this is the sort of product that I find I pull off the shelf most often. Whole bunch of encounters packed in, um, centered around centered around themes. So I say my party's in the jungle, my party's at sea, my party's in the dungeon. I need an encounter. I need something that'll last this next session, or I need a little quest or a little plot to insert in right here. This is the sort of book that I pull off. So I'm all about this. Amazing encounters and places. And he says volume one because I think he has high hopes of making this a series.
You didn't even say anything about the 40 plus stat blocks in the 12 plus new magic items in this thing. Man, this thing is stacked.
Yeah. He's basically taken 4 terrain types: coast, forest, mountain, and swamp, and done 2 different locations for each one of those. So my suspicion is he's going to do another book that focuses on more terrain types, like Arctic and things like that at a later date. He's already blown way past his goal. He did a really solid amount of like pushing and promoting ahead of time. I know he put in a lot of work ahead of time to kind of make it looking as awesome as it could, and to get the backer support that he needed. He's at $33,000 of his roughly $10,000 goal, and he has 17 days left to go. I think the other thing that I would note here is that you can get the PDF for about $20, which has all the maps and everything. I think that's pretty reasonable. The thing that I like about this, and I appreciate him doing, is he has the standard pledge of basically $48.50 gets you the PDF and hardcover, but he also has that tier that's in the middle, which is the hardcover only tier at $34. That's a good deal, people. I mean, right now there's a lot of you need that digital content by and large if you're still playing online, but we're slowly transitioning out of online only and back into in-person play. A lot of us, and I appreciate not having to pay full retail, and the answer being, well, but you get a free PDF. If I'm never going to use the PDF, it's not a huge win for me. So I think that was really smart on his end. And then there's a whole bunch of like higher end stuff that you can go after too.
Yeah, but I mean, like having it on the go, you don't have like that's the great thing about PDFs. You store it somewhere like on Dropbox or something like that, or Google Drive. You pull it up and you can look at it on your phone if you're in a pinch, or if you're like on the bus or the train or whatever in the car. Having the book is my preferred method. I'm old school. I'm analog when it comes to that, but I really do appreciate having that digital asset, and that is a phenomenal price to get the whole shooting match for $34. That's nice.
Yeah, he's a really nice guy, and really nice maps. So I think you're going to be getting there. I don't think there's any stretch goals on this project, so you kind of know what you're getting from the moment you set in. So that's me.
Yeah, I like it. All right, so next up, I'm going to talk about Reliquaries by Dwarven Forge, Epic Thrones for Legendary Dice. So this is kind of one of those things where if you need to up your nerd cred, or if you're looking to get you need more swag, or if you want to just put your dice, if they've been really, really good to you, you want to put them on a pedestal. That's essentially all this is. Reliquaries is a new product that's been created by Dwarven Forge that is explicitly for displaying and showcasing your dice. There are a lot of different themes that they went with: Dwarven, Elven, Artificer, Elemental, Eldritch, and then an ability tracker where it has like a counter, and and a placard where you can track different abilities that you're using throughout an adventure. They're it's cool. I mean, it's one of those things where it's not, you don't have to have it, but if you've got the extra dough and you wanna pamper your dice and hope that they treat you in kind, then they're gorgeous. I don't think there's any denying that. The painting is phenomenal, and they use the Dwarvenite stuff, which I can attest to its durability. I've got the old Dwarven Forge stuff, which you got to be a little bit more ginger, a little bit more careful with, and then I've got the new stuff too. And then the new stuff is lighter, and you can huck it across the room, and it'll be just fine. You're not going to throw it against the wall or anything like that. But even if you did, you may end up scratching it or scuffing it, but you're not going to break it. They've got some of them that are illuminated, right? So like,
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, so an example of one of them, right, is like, imagine, if you will, dear listener, a dwarf at the anvil forging something, and the thing that you put on top of the anvil that they are actually about to do a hammer blow against is whatever die you choose, which only makes sense. It'd probably be your D20. They've got the same similar kind of motif, but it's really across the different themes, right, for elf and elemental and things like that. The elemental one in particular is a phoenix arising, right? And so the phoenix actually has an LED inside of it that will light it up internally. I can also attest to Dwarven Forges, their technological craftsmanship, putting things like that together. I have not had a single set piece that I've purchased from them that has any electronics in it that has failed me yet. I do have a couple buddies of mine that got some duds, but they were very quickly and handily returned and replaced by the folks at Dwarven Forge with little to no finagling in order to get that to happen. So, dependable, durable. I mean, they're all hand sculpted, hand painted, illuminated. They've got anchor points for magnets if you want to use that. They've got, instead of just, it's not only just like one single piece. If you want to get like the full set for all 7 of your polyhedrals, they've got like a little, almost looks like a shot glass or a beer flight piece of wood where you can actually, like a little a pedestal or a placard that they can all sit on. This is awesome. I mean, it's really one of those things where it's a luxury item. It's like the wormwood stuff, and where the display is made out of mahogany, charged by USB cable for charging. I mean, this is one of those things where if you've got the dough, go for it. But it's a nice to have otherwise.
Oh yeah, I would love to see something like this. STL files.
Oh yeah. Well, that's one of those things where, I mean, I don't want to rest on that too long. I love what they're doing here, right? So the last thing that I want to do is I'd like to be able to print my own, right? I would, honestly, but I mean, it's one of those things where I think we're going to see that more and more. That in response to this, you'll probably have ones either when they're done or someone is saw this coming and they're already printing STLs for this kind of stuff. You've already got I know I've seen dice thrones and dice prisons and things like that are STL files that are printable. So I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. The only thing I kind of, they're really cool. I'm just hoping people don't bring a set of these to the table.
Oh man.
To place upon, to just take up more room. It's like,
I don't really care, but I'm also that'd be a little bit silly. But if you have a pair of $400 dice, you should get this because you need to show those suckers off. Right? Yeah. So
otherwise it's going to sit in that wormwood box, Yeah. What's the point in that? If you want to display it, right? Exactly. If you bought the semi-precious stone or the
throw
mammoth
that wormwood
tusk,
box in the garbage. That's right.
Right.
Wait,
right.
What are you doing?
If
hiding in that trash.
Yeah, or you take that petrified mammoth tusk dice. I think that Wormwood I think it was Wormwood that they had that set that was some goo gobs money. This is the thing you put it on,
The Wormwood cases are for transportation,
right?
In style.
No. Yeah.
I'm just
okay.
I wasn't saying it was garbage. That was Zach that said that, not me.
Listen, I'm just saying, you got to get you got to get in the end times, right? Like spalted timber, no thanks. Just shove it off the table. Reliquaries are where it's at.
Smash it.
That's that's what Dwarven Forge should have done for their video for this thing. It's just like piles full of gorgeous wormwood stuff.
They just
Somebody just
they get the big Looney
shoves it
Tunes
off.
mallet like Gallagher uses and smash
Oh,
it on a
yeah.
pedestal. Yeah, that would
Yeah,
have
and
been a
they're
good
like,
video.
bam, Dwarven Forge, and then they try to slam it, and it doesn't break, and they're like, "This
Dwarvenite.
is what your dice deserves." Yeah,
Funny.
yeah. Uh, well, hey, Troy's up next.
I just wanted to show this to
his luxury dice carrying case.
my dice transportation
Crown Royal
device
bag,
called a
buddy.
Crown Royal.
Crown
bag.
Royal,
That's
yeah.
right. That is right.
Yeah, exactly, Mitch. Mitch and you are on the same
Yeah,
wavelength.
yeah.
Yeah.
I've got almost all the colors, so it's like whatever. Okay, so Traveling Encounters, Volume 2 for 5e. What's going on here? There we go. By Jerry Joe Seltzer. And the concept for these, Jerry is saying, every character sheet is full of untapped potential with neglected abilities, background features, skills, background stuff, tool sets, gaming sets that you don't ever really use in your game. But he wanted to give the DM something that helped you showcase this a little bit more. And this is Traveling Encounters Volume 2. Little encounters from levels 6 to 9 that will challenge your characters in new and different ways. Unique combat scenarios, unique role-playing scenarios, new monsters, new treasures, new ways to experience D&D, stuff that's dealing with, like the first example, if you have the sailor background and, you have proficiency in the water vehicles and maybe carpentry tools and stuff like that, Not a Yacht will feature those abilities and actually let you use them in a way that, makes it shine. So, yeah, all kinds of, neat artwork, kind of a colorized version of old AD&D style artwork, which I dig. The books are color coded, that kind of lets you know what's being called out. The maps are pretty good. I dig that. I love how he says combats are never boring, because he has like a round by round breakdown. So that way, when the monsters, when you get to the second round, the creatures do this. When you get to the fourth round, the creatures do this.
Mm-hmm.
So it helps the DM really get things flowing. And I appreciate products like this. And a lot of DMs are like, well, I don't need that. I run awesome combats. Yeah, maybe so. But I bet
No, you don't.
No, you don't.
But you don't.
But I bet Jerry has come up with some different ideas.
Yeah.
And it's just like, the monsters know what they're doing.
Yeah.
It's this kind of a thought process that's gonna unlock some different ideas. That maybe that next encounter that you yourself have come up with, hey, wait a minute, I think there was something that happened in one of these traveling encounters that's going to help me make this even more exciting and more fun.
Now,
different ways to use speed. Okay.
Yeah, I really appreciate. I want to park on that just for a second. I know you kind of talked about it, but I really do appreciate the fact that it's not just here are their abilities. This is like, it's not telling you this is the way that it has to happen. It's like, look, here's an example of how your rounds of combat can go with this combination of monsters that we've thrown in here. I really appreciate that. I wouldn't mind seeing like a product where they take the monster manual monsters and they don't have to put it like in a specific place, but it's kind of like the same vibe as the monsters know what they're doing, but they go in a round by round. Like, if you get this combination of monsters, here's what they would do. Here's tactically how they might operate. And it's to your point. It's like, yeah, you may know, but this is just another way of looking at it and thinking about it and seeing how somebody else does their tactics. And I think that's awesome. I love that.
Yeah, and I just dig how he's got this thing set up. He using movements in different ways. And they're
Yeah,
just all
it's
different kinds of encounters and stuff.
super clever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like books that say, what are these things that you look at your character sheet and wish were cooler than what they are? Can we make them that cool?
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
this is a product that tries to answer some of that.
Well, and
Yeah.
to
Cool.
your point too, Troy, one of the things that murder is not the solution.
Yeah.
When you talk about the, not a yacht, one of the things that he points out here is that it doesn't have to always end in combat. That sometimes an
Yes.
encounter goes beyond like combat tactical thinking and simply like problem solving, uh, using teamwork, memorable role playing, things like that. So the encounters that are in here are not. Let's not think of like, yes, you can murder hobo this thing if you want to, but here are some options in this encounter that can be solely non-combat.
Hmm.
Yeah. And each encounter has that, has the, has the box text that you read to your
Mm-hmm.
players. I think they all have unique stat blocks, if I'm remembering correctly. And then they have like, here's what could happen, and here's where to go from here, and here's things that these NPCs will do. He's got
Hmm.
26 days left in this Kickstarter as of this recording. He's got an $18,330 goal, and he's at $17,800 right
Mm-hmm.
now.
Right on.
So it's gonna fund. You can also add volume one to your purchase if you wish, which I would recommend doing so. But yeah, check it out. Traveling Encounters Volume 2 for 5e.
Right on. All right. I'll talk about this one real quick. So I haven't really talked about this a lot, or maybe at all, on the podcast. But I've had the pleasure of working with Modifius on their newest crowdfunding project, their newest campaign. It's actually on GameFound, and um, if it wasn't something that I didn't think was cool, I wouldn't talk about it here. Um, but I do think this is cool, and I've got to play test it a little bit, so I can say that with confidence. We are crowdfunding Skyrim, the adventure game. It is a board game that is a prequel, a canonical prequel to the Elder Scrolls Skyrim.
That's
Um,
cool.
have either of you two fellas played any of the Elder Scrolls stuff?
I yes.
Yeah.
I have been lost in the wilds of
Yep.
Skyrim for hours.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Same here. I am not the diehard Elder Scrolls person that many people are. But I do like it a lot.
Hmm.
And 15 years ago, I liked it even more than I do now. Um, the board game is really fun though. It's like we were doing a playthrough the other day, yesterday, live, and some of the people that were watching on YouTube were like, "This feels like DM-less D&D." Like a great way to do that. And I'm like, I think I agree because it's all about quests. It's got a cool card system where kind of like a choose your own adventure sort of a thing, where you draw cards and you pick which direction you're going and how you get there, and whichever choices you make. Maybe you choose to save a guy or maybe you choose to kill him. And if you kill him, you have to throw cards out of the deck. And then for the rest of the campaign, this guy and his quests are no longer available. And that could be a big deal over hours and hours and hours and hours of play. Um, it's pretty cool. I really like it. There's leveling up, there's enchanting, there's swapping out gear, all the stuff that you like out of D&D in a board game. Um, and we'd love for you to check it out.
But is there skooma?
Sure. I don't know.
That doesn't seem very confident. I didn't feel like you were very confident in that answer. I
I I I have played so the reason that I hesitate is I have only played like the play test version of it and not the full design thing. So that maybe because there's a lot of like
Maybe.
Easter eggs and weird stuff that they've tucked in there, but I'm not sure that I would catch all of them even if I knew where to look. Um, but it's a lot of fun. Yeah.
Right on. Right on. Right on.
All right. After Skyrim, oh, and I'll just put it as an aside there. Um, I really, at some point, I'll have some notes, and I think I've been asked to start by my company, has asked me to start like a weekly or a monthly blog about Kickstarters and what I learned from them as I'm creating and helping people with theirs. This one has been very informative, and I really appreciate Modifius letting me come on and 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 help them on the back end getting this project up and running. So, okay, John, let's do it.
All right, let's talk about Five Torches Deep. So,
Yes.
for those of you that have not played Five Torches Deep, let me give you a very brief summation. It is a very stripped down 5e OSR game system. All right, so if you're familiar with, if you played Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition, you can very easily pick up Five Torches Deep. I believe that it's either up to like 9th or 10th level is as far as you get. And there are only like a handful of races. It's half elf, or it's a halfling, orc, or half orc, I think, dwarf, elf, if I remember correctly, or human, something like that, right? It is, like I said, it is super, super stripped down. I love how stripped down this is. Very, very simple. The book is it's like almost like a coffee table book, where it's not, it's a soft back. It's not one of those that fits on your shelf very easily, but it's really well put together, and it makes a lot of sense. Well, the one that I'm going to talk to you about today is about the High Fane Peaks. It is a mountainous setting supplement. It's not a full campaign setting. It is a series of peaks and mountains and valleys and whatnot that you can plug and play into any of the. Really, honestly, you could put this anywhere, really. But it's specifically engineered for Five Torches Deep. It's a 70-page long setting guide that details mountaineering rules. It has additional lineages, so new races, classes, spells, monsters, and equipment. Guidelines on adventuring in an arcanely drenched mountain range. So it kind of asks the question about what if the dungeons weren't inside the mountains? What if the mountain external itself was the dungeon, right? If there were, if it's not just like the terrain and the environment itself, but the things were on top of it, right? In order to kind of like, instead of everything being underground and dark, right? It has a compact compendium of rugged climbs and ancient magic is what this whole thing is all about. The artwork is top notch. The design and the layout looks great.
Goodness.
They've got mountaineering. They've got high fane magics like ordomancy and stone souls. So different kind of ways that you could bolt on mechanics to the existing rule set. And this is made by the folks that actually made Five Torches Deep. So the design and the editing looks like it's just going to mesh and merge with the original Five Torches Deep perfectly. They have,
I adore this art.
Yeah, it's
Right?
awesome.
Like, it's like on a scale of 1 to 10 on how much I love what they're doing here. This is at the top. This is 9-10 level.
yeah, it's absolutely
Gorgeous.
gorgeous.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like to give you a taste here, there are some, like I said, there are new lineages and there are new classes, and this class is almost like a prestige class. It's the Goat Knight, as an example, right? And it has a mystical bond with their loyal steed, a rock goat. They are not ordinary goats. They are stout of heart, long of horn, fleet of foot, and capable of scaling practically vertical cliffs with ease. So this is because again, they're not thinking inside the mountain. They're thinking on top and around. They're thinking out external landscape, right? So for a change, hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll see how it goes whenever we pick it up. But it looks like they've got a phenomenal, like a mountain cavalier is essentially what they've created with this that could be highly effective and like significantly utilized in the as a part of a campaign. To where a lot of the times you have to leave your mount behind whenever you go inside of stuff, whereas the Goat Knight is one of those where it's actually you can actually go inside if you need to. So if you do go into an internal dungeon or a cave or complex or something like that too, the goat is built around being able to go in there into those tight places and still be effective as a mount. So pretty cool there. There are 6 levels, I believe, 7 levels. Sorry, it's like I said, it's a prestige class, so you've got to have some existing levels, and you begin this level at this subclass at like level 3. You pick that up and go with it. Man, I just only recently, within the last couple of months, did I start reading about I got the book and really started digging into it as if I were going to run the game, as opposed to it being on a shelf and being something that I could reference and like for the show and stuff like that. I've really fallen in love with the simplicity of the rules. This is almost one of those things where you could hand this to your players before you actually play D&D with them first, and so then they kind of like they scale into full-blown Dungeons and Dragons, right? And I love the OCR or the OSR, excuse me, the OSR vibe. It's incredibly deadly. You don't gain additional hit points in some instances in Five Torches Deep. Really, really cool. Yeah, so if you're thinking about playing Five Torches Deep, you should, or at least picking up the book. If nothing else, it'll give you a lot of really cool ideas. The way that they look at elves, dwarves, humans, and halflings, if that's the 4. The way that they look at them is not your stereotypical Tolkien-esque version of those things, first of all. And it's just really interesting the way that they engineer them when they work in the mechanic out of it. So, and I really just love the idea with this. This is not a full-blown campaign setting. This is something that you cut around the corner, around the edges, and you paste in somewhere else in your setting, or whatever your setting of choosing is. I really like this. High Fane Peaks for Five Torches Deep.
And I mean, if you're considering it, just do it for $25.
Yeah,
you get the High Fane Peaks PDF. You get a coupon for $10 off of the print on demand.
Mm-hmm.
It's only $20 to begin with.
Yeah, which is only $20. You also get Five Torches Deep PDF.
Mm-hmm.
You get a Five Torches Deep printable on demand, $10 off coupon.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, you get the PDFs of Origins, Duels, Homesteads, Stealth, and the Vault. Everything that they have done for Five Torches Deep for $25.
Yep, it's a no-brainer if you're interested in it at all, and you should be. To be honest with you, if nothing else, again, having them as these really simplified, stripped-down rule sets that this could make it a lot like a lunchtime game for work or something like that. Instead of having all the like player's handbook, DM's guide, and stuff like that, monster manual. Dungeons and Dragons, the full 5e complement of rules. This is just like really, really quick and easy and dirty, and you go with it. So I cannot recommend Five Torches Deep enough. Really, it has really, really impressed me in the last couple of months that I've really been digging into it.
Yeah, I like Bear Droid's scale of art from 1 to Elmore.
Oh, hallelujah!
I would say
Amen.
Not quite Elmore, but man, it's a very evocative art style.
Yeah, it is. It is not. I hate to use the word realistic, but it is that there's a stylization that goes to it, but it is, oh man, it's really good. I do really, really enjoy this artwork quite a bit, and they're not skimping on it either. There's quite a bit of it, so there's lots of good eye candy in these books, including the Five Torches Deep book, the original core rule book.
Oh, I just saw the number jump up. Who bought? Which one of you out there bought it?
Yeah, that's a good point. So right
Joe,
now we've got
right there. Yep.
We got 5 days.
So
5
did
days
I.
left. So we got 5 days as of this recording that are left. There's a $7,600 of a $5,000 goal, so they've hit it. But so there is no. It's not going to happen. So if you buy, you're going to get the stuff. So please do. I already have.
Yep, already on it.
All right, Troy, you've got one that is, the next one is a little bit interesting. I'll kind of lead off with, this is one that if this sounds interesting to you, it could use your help.
Yes.
So let's dive in to yours next.
And that's exactly why I want to talk about it. Kalimba. It is an innovative African-inspired tabletop RPG. They're asking for $50,000 is their goal. They're setting it 21,000 right now with 10 days to go. It is its own system. It is it is drawing inspiration from the mythologies of various parts of Africa. It is not an exact historical representation, so it's just drawing inspiration from all the cool stuff that happens, that comes out of that continent. Um, there's a quick start that you can check out that's pretty cool. The artwork, uh, the color artwork is, to me, it's amazing. I love it. It's vibrant, it's bright, it's it almost glows off the screen in some aspects. The black and white artwork is, to me, very reminiscent of, oh, probably second edition AD&D, the black and white artwork you would get in some books. Um, very polished, not the old school stuff, but it has a nice feel to it. The color artwork is by far, it just blows out of the water though. It's just a very interesting. It takes they're on the world of, and I probably cannot pronounce these names to save my life. IE.
Hmm.
It's all kinds of strange things are going on. Or Orishas are the ancient gods. Um, they the people have been there since the dawn of time, and the planes are like split. So you've got the spirits that kind of like, finagle with the humans of the setting. There's other creatures that you can play, and it's its own system. It's a 2d6 plus your attribute plus your skill bonus system.
Hmm.
And it seems like it would be very, very easy to pick up, but a completely unique and new setting, something that I have not experienced before,
Hmm.
and I dig that. I like the idea of something that I have no real idea about, and the fact that they're taking all of these inspirations from Africa and putting them into the setting. I'm kind of jazzed about it. 10 races. They've got 99 mandingas or spells, 22 orishas or gods, 70 plus creatures, 120 special abilities, 150 items. The system has no classes. You're given points.
Hmm.
And you put points into your abilities, you put points into your skills, you put points into special features of yourself, and you're basically creating your own class as you go. And there are 4 levels that you raise up to, and each level has 4 tiers inside the level. So in effect, it's 16 levels. Um,
Hmm.
like I said, the illustrations are great. From what I gathered from reading the Kickstarter, the game has already been made uh, in, I'm assuming, Brazilian Portuguese, because the creator
Mm-hmm.
is Brazilian, and this is them trying to get the money to do the
Translate
game
it.
in English to get
Yeah.
it out to more people.
Yep.
So I'm all about it. Craftando Games. This is their first Kickstarter out of Brazil. So,
Mm-hmm.
and I love the idea of helping support, uh, you know, people like this that are trying to get, trying to break into the international gaming market, because I want to see what people other than, the usual suspects bring to the gaming table.
Mm.
And yeah, I really want to see this thing fund. I think it would be just absolutely awesome.
Well, at least follow them because even if
Yeah.
this one doesn't fund, which I think is going to have a huge uphill climb at this point, not to say it can't do it, but even if it doesn't fund, if you follow them, my suspicion is that they get some help and they relaunch and it's successful a little
Mm.
later on. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it should be successful just with a reapproach. All right. Okay, so here's my last one on the list. We don't need to talk about this. They don't need our help, but
But we're gonna.
we're going to talk about it because I adore this system. I adore this community. We're going to talk about Mothership First Edition box set on Kickstarter right now, y'all. $830,000.
Isn't that insane?
That is
Shut your
crazy.
mouth. Shut your mouth. Like
With
that's
24 days to go.
Yeah.
yeah. Listen, that communicates the how tight knit their community is, right? Like this is 1E. Everything that you've ever loved about Mothership up until this point has been a beta test, right? Like it's been them saying we want to refine the rules, we want to get it out there, we want people to give us feedback, we want to refine. Now we're ready. Let's do this thing. And boy, oh boy, are they doing this thing. It's a box set. It comes with 5 zines in the box set, and then
Mm.
there's a deluxe that adds uh, their 3 previous zines. Dead Planet, which is awesome. Pound of Flesh, which is awesome. Gradient Descent, which is basically a mega dungeon for sci-fi horror. Um, and it kind of wraps it all up into a special box. Um, Man, it's just cool. Like Mothership is cool. You should be playing it if you're not. You should at least give it a go. Um, and they know how to present a Kickstarter well. Um, it was $60 for the basic set, $100 for the deluxe. I already own most of the deluxe expansion stuff, so I went ahead and got the basic. But dudes, this is a cool thing, and there's a reason it's getting $830,000. It could hit 2 million for a small company, really with one of their early products. This is crazy,
Yes.
um, and you need to climb on board now. Uh, I think because I think we're going to be looking back as gamers 15 years from now, 20 years from now, and Mothership 4th edition comes out, and you're going to want to point back at your box set of Mothership 1E and say,
Yep.
I bought that. Yep.
This will
Yep.
be the red box of our generation. Is that what you're saying?
I,
I know
it
this will
could
be
be,
this.
Of
it,
this
This is
generation?
the hand folded brown cover D&D stuff.
I just
yeah.
love the fact that this is genius. By the way, that on this page they've got the bingo. It's like Mothership inspiration bingo of all the stuff that Mothership is like.
Yeah.
Because as soon as I read my copy of Mothership, I immediately thought of Metroid. Immediately
Yeah.
thought of Super Metroid in particular, and I was like, it's
Yeah.
hilarious to me to see it on here as one of the bingo items. So you got like
Yeah.
Alien, Super Metroid, Event Horizon, Sunshine, which is a phenomenal movie.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen
Great
that,
movie.
watch that one.
Yeah.
Some of the ones that I know at least are like Dead Space, Solaris,
Mm-hmm.
Doom. Obviously, Doom's there. Blame, Diamond Dogs, The Thing, Pitch Black. And here's the thing: the great thing about Mothership is the things that it promises are the things that it delivers.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't put this stuff up on the board and say you're going to get ice skating walruses. If ask and you shall receive. If you want a space horror RPG and campaign or not a campaign, but if you want it centered around that, if that's the vibe you're looking for, you're going to get it in this. So I'm with Zach. I absolutely
Yeah.
adore Mothership.
I will say this. Zach ran Mothership for a few of us. What, 6 months ago?
Probably a year ago. Yeah.
year
It's
ago,
been
something like that?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of laughs, a lot of goofing around, a lot of smart ass comments and things like that were said, not by me, other people. But I will say that it is probably the most nervous I have ever been playing a game.
Yeah.
And I haven't played Aliens yet, and I'm assuming that it's going to kind of give me the same vibe with everything that I've heard about that system. But Mothership to me is the Alien game before there was an Alien game.
So,
Yeah.
really quick,
So
here's a revelation. Don't be mad at him. It's not his fault. But Gabriel, my son, a friend of the show, has I went through this with him with my zine, and he goes, I hate this. I'm like, why? He goes, because it's in space and it terrifies me. So he
Well,
refuses to
point.
play it or have anything to do with it as a result of it. But it does exactly what, like, that's the thing, is like, it's so evocative. The whole thing, like, not just the art, but the text is so evocative. He goes, I was flipping through it and talking to him about it, and like, no, dude, check this out. But look at this. And he's like, I don't like this. This is making me nervous. Just even looking at it. So.
yeah. Now I don't recommend playing it with Zach
Oh well, I mean,
because
it's a one
he'll
shot.
kill you off. He'll kill you off even if you do good stuff.
Mhm.
If you play intelligently, and it makes it for a really good story, he'll still just annihilate you in a very unsatisfactory with no agency, no player agency there at all.
No.
Like a
He'll strip
rocket
you.
launcher to the face. Is that the kind of game that Zach runs for you too? Interesting.
No, it was more like, here, roll this D100 chart. Oh, this is how you get screwed over.
Oh right.
And meh, here you go.
Oh, just so you know,
Yeah,
you
that's right.
died. But I was like just standing there. Yeah, no,
But
but roll the chart to see how you
Yeah,
died.
yeah,
Okay.
exactly. How everyone died.
Right.
That's right. That's right. Cool. All right. Well, hey, look, I think we did a good job hyping a thing that doesn't need to be hyped anymore.
Oh yeah.
All right, we have two left. Two left. We're on the downhill slope majorly.
We're getting
John,
there.
this is a really beautiful thing. I
Oh,
had
yeah.
not seen this before you brought it up. So let's talk Relic.
Oh man, Relic is a tabletop RPG that is about exploring the wilderness and encountering colossal titans in a world haunted by its past. This there's a box set that this Kickstarter is pushing for Sea of Stars, War Torn, and then the actual core rule book itself. The core rule book includes the Untamed Wild, the Windfall, and the Cleansing of the Blight and the Cursed Land. So so let me give you kind of like the kind of the setting itself. It's essentially, I'm not post-apocalyptic, I guess, but it's like there's a combination of like a balance of nature and these colossal titans in the world that are out there in this very wild landscape, and the artwork itself is absolutely gorgeous, and like the titans are kind of like the keystone figures of the things that you're supposed to, kind of like the MacGuffin of it, right? Is slaying the titans. And the titans themselves have like just the right amount of cool and creep that you're looking for in a villain, or not in a villain, but in a monster. You have to hunt them down, and the setting itself lends itself to that, the exploration and the deep dive into trying to find them. It's not like it's like a really obvious find that you've got to do. It includes a beautiful, detailed regional map. And each of the settings, so each one of the books has its own a map in it for the setting itself. This game, I like. Look, I think the thing that snagged me was really the artwork. I absolutely love this artwork. This is not like your typical fantasy D&D type artwork, where it's like oils. Like oil painting or anything like that, right? This is a lot of like watercolors and digital artwork assets. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like a stylized anime. I think is the closest thing I can get to is like anime or like a comic book type of artwork or art style. Mm-hmm. But I mean, I absolutely there's also like, I hate to use the term again, but there's also like a heavy metal feel to it too, right? There's some grit and grime that's in, and kind of like I don't know, like Iron Maiden feel to some of the monsters that are the monsters with the titans themselves. Yeah, so the basic setting, like if looking at the campaign, they explain the setting better than I do. So I'll just kind of read it here. The settlers of Windfall siphoned the natural essences of the world, weakening the wild hearts, and created the enormous machines of war they dubbed Sentinels. They were crafted to help tame the wilds of Windfall, each given its own imprinted set of duties and instructions with a trace of the eccentricity of their creators. Sentinels are built of stone lashed to a body grown from their core, the container holding the energy that powers. And lines of power run through their body, culminating in weak points along the bodies called sigils. They are predictable but dangerous. Like that's just like the three main like encounter types are like revenants, which are blight formed beasts and monsters. The wild hearts are essentially like the natures, these massive nature spirits. So if you think like a Miyazaki film, like what is it, Princess Mononoke? Think about it kind of like that, where it's like this the forest god, right? These these massive divine, almost near divine beings that are essentially the world, the essence of the world, and like an active force of the world and representation. Man, I like the art again. The artwork is what got me, man. It snagged me. I went ahead and picked this up just based on the artwork alone. And so the basic is so you choose your art to archetype, right? So you got the Seeker, the Tempest, and the Tower. And then you have to choose what's those are how you from those you get your character arcs from those as well, and then you choose a talisman that your character is assigned to, or like an item, an animal companion, or some kind of like a physical feature or a special power that's important to your character. It could be something that you've made, something that's in the wild, something that was handed down to you, something like that. And that's like, and that's one of the things that I love about this too, is like everything is pushing, is like even the mechanics of the game lend themselves towards the vibe of of that like quasi ruined, post-apocalyptic world where the beasts are still out there. Like the things that destroy the world, or things that put the world in a state of ruin that they're still out there. And you're the ant, and they're the giants. But the ants are supposed to somehow create a methodology or figure out a way to destroy the things that destroy the world.
It's very cool. I was looking back at the stuff that this creator has done, Bandit Camp, and I appreciate the variety. That this is their fourth project, and their first project was a book for the Forged in the Dark system, which is cool. And then they did a 100 NPCs card deck, which is, those are always, people like those, and it's a variety thing. And then they did a Power by the Apocalypse fairy tales book, and now they're doing their own system. That's just a lot of variety, and I appreciate that. So
yeah, that's actually something. Thank you. That is one thing I did not mention. This is its own system. This is not 5e centric. Yeah, that's an important inclusion.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think about. I'm just digging through this thing. They do have. They'll have virtual tabletop support that'll be included in it. So Roll20 Foundry for those that are Foundry folks. They're actually doing pretty well right now. Their goal was 8,800, and they're currently at 33 ish. Yeah, 3,300. So it's going to happen. There are 18 days to go as of this recording, and it really is. Like, I invite you to click the links in the doobly-doo, go out there and find Relic.
To be clear, because John said they asked for 8,800 and they're at 33. They asked for 8,800 and they're at 33,000.
Yeah.
So yeah, that they're
Yeah.
The artwork, to me, is a stylized version of the Tales from the Loop.
In some ways,
a little bit. I can see that
because you get that. Here's the people standing in what would be, an idyllic setting of whatever, and in the distance you see one of these massive titans kind of like looming over or off in the distance. So it kind of gives you that, everything's just all right, and everything's pretty cool. Oh, what is that? It's a little off-putting. I dig the art style, but it has that kind of yeah, this isn't what you're used to.
Yeah.
Kind of a
One of the,
kind
I
of a
think the
feel.
way that I tried to describe it to somebody once about like the Tales from the Loop, and you're right. I think it's very similar to it. Is it makes you feel small,
Yes.
Yep,
makes you feel
yep, that's a
very
good way to
small
say it.
because the Titans are supposed
Makes
to
you feel very
be,
small.
and that's part of it too, right? It's like the campaign is not like running from the Titans. The whole thing is about slaying multiple like
Mm,
all 12 of the Titans. That's a part of the overarching story for it.
hmm,
So you're supposed to engage with them.
interesting.
Yeah.
All right, well here, let's roll into our last one, Troy.
Uh,
Uh,
Before we roll in, I just have to point out, Joe, curse your crowdfunding program. Wallet is not doing well. Sorry, Joe.
listen,
Sorry, not
I think
sorry.
Sorry, not sorry.
John took the cake, man, with that freaking Five Torches Deep.
Oh
I
yeah.
think he sold it to like 6 people right here
Yep.
on stream.
Yep.
Bing,
Boom,
bing,
boom,
So
boom.
bing, bing. Yep.
yeah.
Okay, so closing out the show, I've got the Doll Maker, an adventure module for 5e, and it's horror themed.
Hmm.
Uh, this is coming out of Luna Publishing, out of Orlando, Florida, and they are wanting to do what they're calling the Petty Dreadfuls, and I'm sure most of us know what a Petty Dreadful is. Back in long, long ago, they had these little booklets that they would publish for a penny, and they had horror stories inside of them, um,
Hmm.
kind of like dime store novels, but even earlier than that. And they want to do a series of horror themed novels, and this is the first one, The Doll Maker. And each Penny Dreadful, they want to be independent, but also be able to kind of string them along. They'll have character hooks and suggestions on how to use the NPCs and items and stuff like that, continuing on in your own home campaign,
Hmm.
however you would like. Uh, this is kind of a Frankenstein esque from what I'm reading idea where there's been grave robberies happening, but nobody cares. It's they've been robbing paupers' graves and things like that. So what's it to them until the grave of a noble nobleman's daughter gets robbed, and so now something is going to be done. So I don't know. I just
Hmm.
I just kind of I thought, hey, this is pretty cool. And we just got out of Halloween season. You
Hmm.
get If this is going to be a series of adventures like this, I like this idea.
Mm.
Um,
You know what it made me think of right away?
what's that?
My someday dream of making a complete port of Batman into a fantasy setting.
Mm.
Mm.
And there's a great supervillain called Dollmaker in that. I'm like, this makes
Oh
me
yeah.
eager, eager for that dream to become a reality. But no, this looks cool. Like
Yeah.
it's doing a thing, which
Yep.
is really nice, right? Like, um, there's a couple things that are kind of weird about it. Like, this is a 5e book, right? Yeah, it's a
Mm.
5e book.
5e book.
One of the stretch goals is for a playmat, which I'm not, or not a stretch goal, but like an add-on is for
An
a
add-on.
playmat.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what they're doing there.
I
Uh,
I think what that I could be completely wrong. I don't know, but I'm guessing that that you're going to see more and more tabletop role playing game people with playmats
mm-hmm.
because of all the metal dice.
Yeah,
Because I mean, slamming those down on a table,
that's fair. That's fair.
you
You
know.
know what? You're fair. That's valuable. Anyway, there's a couple little odd things about it, but there's really shockingly interesting art as part of this. And if their
Yes.
past Kickstarter is any indication, there'll be even more interesting art to come. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's cool.
The custom character sheets are pretty cool looking, um, and the art is definitely has a creepy vibe to it.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
So I'm interested. They had a $500 goal. They're already at $800. They've got 10 days left to go. It'd be interesting to see what comes out
Mm-hmm.
of this because I mean I dig it. $10 gets you the PDF and the print on demand.
Mm-hmm.
So
All right. Awesome.
yeah,
Well, hey,
I'll be
fellas, believe it or not, we just got, I think everybody believes it.
there.
We got through 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 projects. That's what
It's a
happens.
record.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah.
record.
That is a record. So
Uh,
what do we think? Did we like the semi rapid fire? Uh,
I love how our solution for, hey, we need to streamline this is, let's take let's do all the projects that we would have typically done and then add 7 more.
yeah. Well, I tried to talk faster at least through
Mm.
those. So
Hmm.
I mean that was rapid
Yeah,
fire.
yeah, of course. Yeah, yeah.
So
Well, so let's do this. At the end of this episode, let's do a little preview because we, dear listeners, have done something that we have not done a whole lot of in the past. We have been efficient in our scheduling. And we can give you a little clue, a little taste, not a clue, a little teaser of what is coming up. Um, Tuesday, keep your eyes peeled for uh, a standard episode called "Stealing from the Masters." That is Tuesday the 9th. Then next week, on Sunday, we have uh, currently an open slot, but we're working on that. We're not sure what's going to happen there, but we got a couple things in the back. Then that Tuesday, we're going to have our friends from Skeleton Key Games coming on to do an interview. They do some NPC cards like we've been talking about before, but they also do really cool arcane spell book inserts that are like hand burned, hand drawn, crazy cool stuff.
hmm,
And they do some workboard supplements. That's November 16th. And then on November 21st, the week of that, we have on the 21st the next crowdfunding corner. And then right before the holidays, we've got a very special episode for you. We've got 2 guests coming on. Levi Combs and Skeeter Green
oh, this is gonna be fun.
are going to pop in, and chaos will ensue. If you're not familiar with them, I won't go into all their stuff that they do, but they are two prolific creators, heavy in the Kickstarter space right now, and they're a delight. So we're going to chat with both of them.
Yes, indeed.
All right, fellas. This has been a long episode, so I think we're going to call it. If you have interest in any of these Kickstarters, or if you're a creator of one of these Kickstarters that we talked about today and you want to reach out to us, tell us a little bit more about your product or fill us in on something we missed that you want our audience to be aware of, you can reach out to us on our Facebook page, send us a message there at Bite Size Gaming. You can also head over to our Discord where there's a ton of community interaction. We chat about a whole lot of things. Um, those are basically the 2 places to find us. So,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
John, Troy, thank you so much for doing another crowdfunding corner with me. Appreciate Joe, Baradroid, Girk, Mitch. Trying to think if there was anybody else lurking in chat that I'm missing. Kill a lot. Um, Anybody else that's hanging out in there. All right, fellas. I guess that'll do it. Until Tuesday, we'll see you next time.
Have a great game, everybody.